Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking movies, TV, comics, and more. Join in the conversation on our social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go. Welcome back for another edition of the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. What is going on, everybody? My name is Ken. Joining me for this edition of the ODPH, you know him. He is the co-host. His name is Padawan J.
Hello, hello, hello.
Folks, we have a lot to talk about in the land of movies, TV, comics, and more, so definitely join in the conversation on social media. You can find all our links on OchoDuroParlayHour.com, and remember, use the hashtag ODPH, because we have a lot to discuss.
Yeah, we do.
The original plan for the show, we had to completely rip up and reformat because there was a major bombshell of news dropped on us since last episode.
Yeah.
Pad, do the honors.
Yeah, so as Ken said, we had the whole show planned out, what we were going to talk about, and then somebody found out about it. They must have hacked into the computer and gotten the information and goes, yeah, let's change this a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they decided to go Control-Alt-Delete and just evaporate the entire show. A couple days ago, 2 days ago, as we record, it was revealed via the Wrap that the original big screen Batman Michael Keaton is donning the cape and cowl once again. Not for a solo film, although as awesome as that would be.
Yeah, that would be dope.
It's going to be in the 2022 Flash movie. Keaton will be the Batman appearing alongside Ezra Miller's Flash in the movie, setting up, at least so it appears it's going to be setting up the multiverse, which I know kind of was teased a little bit with the Crisis on Infinite Earths TV special where Ezra Miller showed it in with that. So it looks like they're going to bring multiverse into the films, which I'm all for.
Completely shocked at this.
So am I.
Completely shocked top to bottom. So I guess let's break it down first. If you are new to the whole Batverse, Michael Keaton debuted as Bruce Wayne in 1989's Batman.
Like 31 years ago, like a couple days ago.
Yeah.
I forget the exact date, but it was within the last 2 days.
And for him to debut in Tim Burton's masterpiece of Gotham and superhero, mystique. I mean, trying to describe Batman 89 is tough. We actually tried breaking it down on a segment too, and I don't even think we gave it enough justice.
No.
Tim Burton's vision of Gotham is one that still stands the test of time to this day. You could still pop You could still pop in Batman 89 and it still stands true. And Michael Keaton set a very high bar to be Bruce Wayne that few have come close to hitting.
Yeah.
Christian Bale is up there.
Oh, yeah.
If you really want to talk, Kevin Conroy should be in the discussion.
Oh, he absolutely should.
He should be in the discussion. I know it's animation versus real-life film, but still, it's in the discussion of what do you do with a character when you're giving him.
Yeah.
Other ones, not so much.
Yeah.
George Clooney.
Never happened.
Yeah, it's been Thanos snapped.
Yes.
As we'll say it. So, Michael Keaton did 2 films as Bruce Wayne, and then it went into a different direction when they cast Val Kilmer.
Yep.
And Keaton has relatively stayed away from the superhero genre since. I know that he was in the movie Birdman, which is a very different take on the superhero world. And most recently came back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Vulture in the Spider-Man series.
Very well-praised performance as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that has been the closest he's come back to being into a superhero universe.
Yeah.
So when we heard about this...
Which was completely out of left field.
Out of nowhere. And I don't think this was a blip on the radar because to have him now appear in the Flash movie, which has been through more production purgatory than anything you can imagine for the most part.
I can think of Don Quixote.
Don Quixote's up there. New Mutants is up there.
Yeah.
But Flash has been a long-standing one. I think now it's the current reigning champion.
It could be. I mean, we got to run through the list, the recent events here. We've known for quite a while, and it's been publicly stated for quite a while that they're doing Flashpoint.
Yes,
we know that's happening. It was a question of who would be starring and who would be directing for a while, but we know it's going to be Ezra Miller. But we know they're doing Flashpoint. So if you've ever read the comic, you've ever seen the animated film from maybe a decade ago or whatever it is, highly recommend it. It's a great film. You know what the story's about. So, all right, we know it's Flash. There was a story the other day that the gentleman who plays Cyborg in Justice League is going to be in it. I saw that over the weekend. And then the report came out of left field that I was all for, there was a rumor that Jeffrey Dean Morgan would be appearing and playing Thomas Wayne in the future, whatever you want to call it, version in Flashpoint, which I was like, holy shit, yes, please. But now we've got the news in that it dropped out of left field that Michael Keaton is returning to play Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, it's absolutely just wild to see how they're doing this and they're connecting, because when this first came out, like we said, completely blown away, and for the amount of emphasis that has been connected to the Flash spin-off project from Justice League, the 2017 Zack Snyder film that was supposed to be the shared DCEU. You see that on social media quite often.
Yeah.
That you were going to see, okay, this is going to be a spin-off from that. Ezra Miller was going to get his own solo film. I know there was talk of a Cyborg film as well, played by Ray Fisher as the actor who played him. And they were going to be building off that, as well as with the Aquaman franchise and Wonder Woman.
Right.
Very, very much so copying Marvel.
A little bit in reverse, though.
Yeah, just in a different perspective, I should say. But to see this idea come to light that the Flash movie, like we say, has been in purgatory forever. It's gone through many rewrites. I know at one point Grant Morrison was tagged to the project with Ezra Miller, who has championed playing Barry Allen so much that I think he's the sole reason the movie is still relevant.
I think so.
For an idea. I mean, he has done everything he can to get that project off the ground, even appearing on the CW during the Crisis on Infinite Earth saga,
right,
where it was a complete surprise to see, because we all know it's a very well-known history.
Yeah.
At least perception is reality, that the TV and movie studios do not exactly work well together. So to see Ezra Miller appear on there was a big step. And to start generating some more hype that he's been really wanting to do Flashpoint, that has been one of the most legendary Flash stories, one of the more well-known DC comic stories of recent memory that had a lot to do with time jumping and resetting, and it's very complex. I recommend you read the story, because it's a great story, and like Pat touched upon, the animated movies as well. So that being said, Michael Keaton now coming back to the role, and where this all fits in is anybody's guess.
Yeah.
Because as we noted on Crisis on Infinite Earths, the television series, Batman 89's universe is in the television universe.
Right.
That was the only Easter egg that was planted in there.
Well, it was there. Once Crisis was all said and done, I don't think it was. I can't exactly remember, though.
Right, but it was just...
It was there.
It was just a cool nostalgia moment, because that's all that it's been, because the Burton universe has been untouched for 30 years. And we've gone through different renditions, and then when the Snyderverse came through and did Batman vs. Superman, and you can take your pick about your opinion about it, that introduced Ben Affleck, we all thought that that'd be the direction it's going in. And then we still have fans clamoring to this day, and congratulations, they won.
Yeah.
We are now going to see the Snyder Cut next year. I believe it's early 2021 is the last I was reading that's going to appear on HBO Max.
I heard the same thing.
So now we're going into a different phase with this, because if the Ezra Miller spin-off film is still tied to that universe, we are now adding elements from other universes involved, such as Batman 89's universe. Where does this all lead, Pat?
I don't know. It's very interesting. I think it's kind of leading to a multiverse style thing setup that at some point, if they wanted to do a crossover movie, kind of like they did with their television series, they could do that at some point. It's an interesting thought, because as of right now, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is its own universe.
Correct.
From what with Michael Keaton returning to play Batman again, that kind of lends one to believe that the Robert Pattinson film is going to be its own universe, that it's going to be on its own thing. But with them setting up the multiverse, and I wouldn't imagine they're going to kind of restrict and say there's only X number of universe. They're going to kind of leave it open. That'll lead them to set up. Maybe you could have a film down the road where Keaton and Pattinson are on screen together, or even hell, Bale, if you can talk him into it, like Bale for like a scene, or you could have a scenario where, if they get Joe Manganiello to play Deathstroke in a film down the road, you could have him team up with Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. It's down the road. It sets up a lot of interesting possibilities.
It's endless possibilities, and in my opinion, it's the right move for DC Comics to do. Because let's face it, they can't do the Marvel blueprint.
No.
Not at this stage. Marvel has been setting up their MCU for years. That was the original plan coming out in Iron Man 1. That was the original game plan. So for DC to try doing it after the fact, because let's face it, Man of Steel came out.
Yeah.
That was not really supposed to be the kickoff for the Snyderverse.
Sure.
Albeit, though, they decided to add to it. And,
sure.
And that's why Justice League, once we finally had Justice League, it didn't have the payoff that Avengers did. Because for the casual fan, seeing Aquaman, seeing Flash, and seeing Cyborg without seeing their origin on the big screen, I think threw a lot of fans off.
Yeah, you had to be a longtime DC Comics fan or even a fan of the animated stuff growing up.
Right. And I think for a lot of the casual movie-going audience, which, let's face it, does factor in for box office numbers more so than the hardcore comic fans. That's why Marvel makes it very accessible for casual fans to jump into the MCU. So for DC, them doing the Worlds of DC angle, as I'm just going to call it, for the multiverse, is the brilliant strategy at this stage.
I think I agree with you. I think it's a brilliant move. I think if they copy a little bit, or kind of the idea that the television series have been doing, where everybody kind of does their own thing. They're all set up on but they know Oliver knew Barry was a thing. He knew Kara was a thing.
Right.
He knew the legends were a thing. Yeah, they might appear in an episode or something like that, but they weren't making, regular run-ins. I think if you set something up like that, where you have a Wonder Woman film that's, set in modern times, where she's going around and she's got to take care of something near Themyscira, and she calls an Aquaman for help, and Aquaman shows up for a scene or something like that. And then eventually lead up to the big crossover, whatever crisis they all have to unite to fight, like the TV series. I think that would work.
I think so too. And plus, it gives directors and actors a little more creative freedom.
Yeah.
Because now they don't have to be thinking, what is this other movie doing? What is this other idea that we have for content? We can go and carve our own stories. That's why I think the Matt Reeves Batman, for whatever that's going to be, is going to be excellent, but it'll be its own self-contained.
Oh, yeah.
And if Robert Pattinson wanted to come over and do a crossover, it's completely possible, because if Flashpoint is going to be the official reset of the DCEU, and let's face it,
it appears it will be.
It appears so, with the amount of talent that they're bringing in for this. Like I say, Michael Keaton coming back.
Yep.
Who knows? Henry Cavill might be involved with Superman, as he's come out recently saying he wants to play Superman for many years to come.
Deservedly so.
Oh, I have no issue with that as well. But to see that you're getting actors and actresses that have left the DC franchise now are coming back and wanting to be a part of this. This is a huge win for DC.
Yeah.
Huge. And the ramifications, I'm not saying this is going to have them eclipse Marvel as the number one comic movie franchise. No. I don't think so, but I think for them, this is a smart business move, and this really frees up the creativity to tell your stories on the big screen, and you don't have to really be worried about a shared universe.
Yeah.
Because now you open the door for the multiverse if you want to do crossovers.
I was like, can you imagine multiverse? Can you imagine a scenario where they have, their next big movie? I'm not going to say Justice League, because that movie wasn't all that good. But they have another big, crossover movie, and you have a scene, if it's able to happen, and I'm not saying it will, but can you imagine if they have on screen at one time every living Batman ever fighting on screen? Can you imagine how awesome that would be?
It'd be mind-blowing.
Let me just say, modified Clooney suit, because, God, that thing was awful. Yeah. But can you imagine having Keaton, Kilmer, Clooney, Bale, Affleck, Pattinson all on screen together? That'd be insane.
I mean, it is possible, and that's the crazy thing about it for us fans that have read the comics and been following these franchises on the big screen since day one. To see this all come together like this, I mean, it's truly a remarkable time, and it's a smart move for DC. Like to pull this off, and they have Keaton signed. I was hearing, or at least the interest is for him to be a part of multiple films coming up.
Right.
I mean, what is to say that we won't finally get our beloved Batman Beyond film?
Please, for the love of God, let that happen.
Yeah.
Because the thing I've been reading over the weekend is that It's going to be an older, it's going to be current age Keaton. They're not going to de-age him and try and make him look like it's, 1992 or something like that. So, no, if they're able to set up a Batman Beyond film, yes, freaking please. I've only been waiting 20 some odd years for that.
Well, I think a lot of fans have been, and I think rightfully so. Mm-hmm. And if they're going to keep Keaton unaged, as they have said, they're going to keep him modern. They're not going to try doing any CGI to make him look younger. Mm-hmm. And if he is supposed to be taking, as we've heard a couple different reports, the Nick Fury role.
Right, which makes sense.
It makes sense, but it's also raises up some questions that, all right, if he is going to be playing the Nick Fury role, are they going to try doing a shared universe? Like, that was the only takeaway I had from that, is like, unless he's just going to be in cameos, and that's what they're meaning by that.
I don't think so.
When Fury is in movies, that's when he usually appears. Because that's the only puzzling question I have now, other than where do we go from here? Mm-hmm. Because we know that with the films coming out, Wonder Woman 84 has been pushed back, I believe, to October.
Yes.
Aquaman 2 is still in
2022,
so we still got some time for that.
So the Flash is as well.
Right. Shazam 2
is next year.
Yeah, it's supposed to be slated for 2021 at some point.
And Black Adam is also next year, I think.
Correct. That was supposed to be December of last year.
Right. Yeah, one is in you're right. One's in November. I think Shazam's in November, and then Black Adam's in like December or something like that.
So barring any scheduling changes for whatever reason,
because Lord knows The Rock is busy every day.
Yeah. It's going to be a really telling point of what happens now pre-Flashpoint and post-Flashpoint.
Yeah.
Because for 2021, and I know we're kind of already skipping this year, DC has a full slate of films ready to go. If you want to include Justice League along with that, because it's going to be the Snyder Cut.
Right.
And it has so many eyes waiting to see. And now that you're going to be tying in the Ezra Miller film to it, this is going to be a true telling point of where DC is going to go.
Yeah.
And there's so many projects that they have in the works that to say that they have Keaton back for a long-term deal, they're talking with Henry Cavill. It sounds like along the same lines to a degree. They haven't said anything about Man of Steel 2. I'm still waiting to hear about that.
Right.
I know that I think they were going to be doing a Supergirl movie, and they have scrapped plans for that, and now they're talking a possible Man of Steel 2, which would make sense.
Deservedly so. Like, few people, other than somebody who's written the comic, few people know the character like Henry Cavill does.
Right. I mean, Henry Cavill has arguably been the best one since Christopher Reeves.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Yeah, so, I mean, that one, I can't, deny him about that at all. And that's why I say it's like, for Cavill to come back, and especially he's been making a lot of noise lately, too, which is very interesting to see all these former character or actors come back to the franchise. Like I said, for Cavill to fill in Christopher Reeves' shoes, it was huge, and he has done a great job with it. So that's why I say, I was very surprised we didn't see more of a franchise take off with him. But then again, when you rely on Justice League to carry you through and it failed, it's a really stumbling block when you start thinking the financial side of the movies instead of, okay, what is the direction of the universe that should go in?
Right.
So that being said, for this move to happen is huge. For Michael Keaton to be on board, and I haven't seen an official statement come from him yet.
All I've seen is an Instagram post of like a Airspeed or whatever that thing is called trailer in the middle of the woods someplace.
Yeah,
that was on his Instagram a couple days ago. So that's about all I've heard from him.
I would imagine we'll hear more at San Diego Comic-Con or Comic-Con from home.
Right.
If not, then DC fandom.
Oh, bank on it.
Oh, bank on that.
Yeah.
And then we'll see about the other names getting reattached to the DCEU. Or, I mean, however we want to define it. I think the Worlds of DC angle might be the best way to go.
DCEU. It's easier to say.
Well, because the only thing is it's an extended universe.
We'll wait to see what they say.
We'll kind of have to throw that poll out there. But to close out the segment, though, Pat, can you name a couple properties you want to see now get made? If you can start bringing characters back, what do we do?
Man of Steel 2. Like, hands down, man. I love Man of Steel 1. I still love it. Batman v Superman slightly less so. Justice League even less so. But I want to see Henry Cavill get back on the big screen in his own film and see him take on somebody that isn't one of the villains we've seen on screen before. So other than, because he's got a great rogues gallery and a deep rogues gallery that, let's be honest, even in the course of some of the animated stuff, the animated films, they've barely scratched the surface on.
For me, there's a couple properties that I definitely want to see brought to the big screen. Man of Steel 2, definitely. And I want to see Brainiac.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
I don't want to see Doomsday. I want to see Brainiac. That is the one I think could really get the proper treatment with the big screen.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they could really have some fun doing that one.
Brainiac or Bizarro would be real fun to see.
See, Bizarro...
But have it be Cavill playing Bizarro as well.
Yeah, if he wanted to do that, sure. But, but Bizarro always works better when he's, on a team.
Yeah, that's true.
I think he's tough to sell as a bona fide villain character just in his own right. I think he always plays better off in a team. That's why it's a tough sell for a moviegoer to go watch. I also want to see them bring Joe Manganiello back as Deathstroke. And I would love to see them do, I know they just did it recently in the comics. I think I know I'm grasping for putting the karma out in the air to do the Batman versus Deathstroke storyline they just did in the comics that Christopher Priest wrote.
Okay.
I'd love to see that, but I wouldn't mind also seeing if you're really going to try having Deathstroke become a major player in this, could you try setting up some Teen Titans down the road?
Sure.
I mean, because now that is open. I mean, I know we just had that on the DC Universe app, but I would say for the big screen, though, you really wanted to have Deathstroke come in and really be something huge.
Yeah.
So that's another one, too. And honestly, if they can get Green Lantern right, which to diffuse a rumor, Ryan Reynolds has not been contacted.
No.
That we know of.
No.
I know that went around Twitter, and I think it's a running joke in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I just can't see him coming back to that role.
Listen, that Green Lantern's dead. Deadpool shot him in the head, remember?
Exactly. But I wouldn't mind seeing Green Lantern get brought back to the screen.
Yeah.
I know we have him coming, or at least
a version.
A version or versions, because they could be doing the Green Lantern Corps on HBO Max.
Right.
Next year, I believe.
Something like that.
Or something like that. We don't have a timetable just yet. But I wouldn't mind seeing him come back on the big screen in some variation, whether it's Jon Stewart, Kyle Rayner. Do something with that and really make it right this time.
Yeah.
Because the elements are there to really have a great franchise, and you are now hitting the ultimate reset button with Flashpoint. And how wild is it to think that the Flash movie that we have all been not waiting to see is now going to become one of the most important films of all the comics film history.
It's a little crazy. I also thought of somebody else I want to see in the big screen in some capacity. The Phantasm. Bring the freaking Mask of... not the story itself, but just the character of the Phantasm from Mask of the Phantasm on the big screen in some capacity. That'd be awesome.
Love to see that. Love to see Batman Beyond. I mean, we can go on and on, but for Keaton to come back, that's a huge move for DC. And it's a huge move for Jeffrey Dean Morgan to come back as Thomas Wayne, but to play Thomas Wayne of Flashpoint.
Yeah.
All signs are pointing to DC having a bright future with this. And to hit the reset button at the right time is a really great move for them.
So maybe, just maybe, they finally got their crap together.
Maybe. Just maybe. But let us know what you think. Hit us up on that hashtag. Hashtag ODPH. Michael Keaton is returning to the DCEU. What does this mean? And what characters are you waiting to see come back? And what stories do you want to see hit the big screen after Flashpoint? We definitely want to have that conversation. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hi everyone, this is Mark, the DM for Stranger Damies. What is Stranger Damies, you ask? Well, we're just a bunch of first-time D&D players exploring the world of Tal'Dorei 30 years after the events of the Coma Conclave, which was made famous on Critical Role. Join us every week as we roll some dice, make some mistakes, but most importantly, we have fun. New episodes air every Wednesday at strangerdamies.podbean.com or on your favorite podcast streaming app. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Stranger Damies. And is it Wednesday yet?
Hi, this is Jimmy Gazdick from Crimson Brethren and Floodlands, and you're listening to ODPH.
Coming back for the second segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and let us talk Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Dem agents.
Those agents have picked up steam very, very quickly. The season now, we are on episode 4 of the final season, has really started to drive the story home as they're going to be doing their best Doctor Who impersonation this entire season. But this one had a totally different feel and totally different vibe to it. We are going to be talking spoilers, so if you haven't seen the episode yet, pause. watch it, and then join in the conversation right after, because we are going to start talking in 3, 2, 1. Pad, what did you think?
I thought it was a really fun episode, and it was also very unique. Obviously, being in black and white, we've seen that before with other stuff. I know off the top of my head, they turned some of the early episodes of Walking Dead black and white, so we've seen that before. But to see it go like a full, film noir style, where you even hear the inner monologue of, Phil Coulson on screen, it was really awesome to see, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, this one definitely had a cool noir vibe. And it's just going to show the creativity level that Agents is going out with. Because obviously, since we jumped in time from 1931 to a little more in the future here, and you're seeing about how they're trying to save Daniel Souza from being killed by Hydra.
Yep.
And this is a very interesting concept that they're trying to do, because have we not learned when you start taking people out of the timeline, bad things happen?
I mean, they don't know that. This is the first time they've really jumped time this much.
Yeah, I know, but it's just something that is really, you'd figure that the scientists involved with S.H.I.E.L.D. would go, you know what, this just really isn't a great idea.
Yeah.
But here we are, nevertheless. And we notice that when this episode kicks in, Coulson is waking up, and he is now, due to his raw programming, is now seeing everything like a noir movie, which was kind of a cool thing.
It was fun.
It's a fun little throwback. Like I said, Clark Gregg is just absolutely embracing the more lighthearted version of Coulson.
Yeah,
that we haven't seen since early on in season 1,
something like that. Yeah,
before the stakes got really high in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So to obviously see him go through this, and he realizes where he is in the timeline and what day this is, and this is supposed to be when Daniel Souza gets killed by Hydra. And what he is trying to do is rewrite history where Souza does not get killed.
Okay, and the other kind of hitch with this is, they're trying to prevent Souza's death when not a lot is known. I think all they know is that when he died and the fact that he died.
Yes.
They don't know where, they don't know how, they don't know who did it. So it's kind of like a ultimate game of Clue.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting game that they're trying to play, because they know how much Souza is impactful for the history of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
And to take him off the board, it's a domino effect that can have ramifications for the future. So obviously, when they're trying to figure out, how can they stop this without stopping it, it's a fine line to walk. But they do their best attack for it, though, because you have Coulson is posing as Souza's contact with people he's trying to deliver the device. He has a device from Howard Stark that he's trying to get to. So obviously, it's a big deal if Howard Stark is involved.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know where he ranks in the MCU.
Oh, yeah.
And when he is going about this is drawing a lot of interesting looks from everybody that's involved. And to see where Coulson is going to this master plan that he has, because he has to really dance around picking up the device. He has to go making sure it gets to the right hands.
Right.
And he also has to make sure he doesn't tip off anything that will be noticed by the Chronicoms.
Yeah.
And by Hydra.
I will say, and he's also got to do it while not giving away any future timeline information. Which, when he's in a group with some of the other agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., not the hardest thing to do. You've got other people to bounce off of and other people to cover your butt if you accidentally let something slip. But when you're locked in a room with just one other guy and it's you by yourself, if you let something slip, there's nobody to cover your ass on that one.
Right. So obviously he's trying to make the best connections he can. And since they left Enoch back in the past, the speakeasy that he was working at has now basically turned into the original S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters. So it speaks, because he has ways to connect in the future with the past. Or at least that's how the vibe I got from it.
Right.
Because he has a little phone setup that's in the bar.
Yeah.
Like, how do you describe that, Pat?
I'm not quite sure what it was. I thought it was not like the future, the past. I thought it was just present day. Or what, present day for them.
Yeah, it's just one of those weird moments that obviously with Enoch not being able to age,
right?
Because
because if I'm not mistaken, Patton Oswalt's character did look older. In that scene, so it does appear to be he's still there. You got to imagine Enoch's been getting some questions about that. Like, hey, I've known you for 20 some odd years, and you don't look a day older. Like, what's your story?
It's a very wild take that they're doing with that, and like I say, I think that can only, cause more damage than good. It's just now you have somebody that has a superior information of the future.
Yeah.
in the past. It's almost like a weird Back to the Future kind of vibe. Just obviously we know Enoch is doing good instead of, going Biff Tanner on everybody. So during this time, though, you see the rest of the team is trying to track down the device. So you see Yo-Yo and Deke, and they wind up getting captured by Hydra and brought to the head of Hydra at this time.
Yep.
And it is Wilfred Malik.
Yeah, looking a little grizzled and a little angry.
Yes, because the last time that we saw him, Deke wound up saving his life.
Deke spared him.
From Daisy's rogue mission.
Yeah.
So
her brilliant plan.
Yeah, because obviously when they start going through the house and they're looking for the device, they're picked up because they're obviously searching Malik. And once Malik recognizes Deke, he does not kill him because he remembers him from 1931.
Right.
Which is kind of a wild take in its own right.
Yeah.
But it was one that makes sense, and I like that they respect the past has gone through. And then Malik would obviously remember, this guy did not shoot me at the time. So when this is all going on, though, back on the Zephyr, we do find out that something has happened to one of our favorite members.
Yeah.
That she now has powers.
Yep.
Pat, do you want to break it down?
Yeah, so back on the Zephyr, Yo-Yo and Simmons are going around, and they find out that May experiences the emotions of the people she touches, which, in being in the process of rewatching X-Men the Animated Series, reminds me a little bit of how they did with Rogue in that series, where Rogue would touch somebody, and not only would she get their powers if they were powered, but she'd get their emotions and kind of what they were feeling at that moment. Reminded me a little bit of that. So, yeah, May, on top of being one of the most lethal agents on the team, now has powers.
Yeah, it's wild to think that she has developed powers after all this time.
Yeah.
But Ming-Na Wen's character has developed over the course of the show. And to see where she goes with this is a really interesting take.
I get the feeling it's going to come in handy at some point.
I think it'll come in handy, but as you see when she goes and touches Coulson, she can't feel anything because he's a robot.
Right.
And it's kind of that weird, awkward moment due to their history.
Right.
But where she's going to go with this power, I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to play a big factor because why else would you introduce it?
Yeah.
But let alone a superpowered cavalry.
Yeah, no, that's a frightening thought.
Is a scary, scary thought. But during this whole entire time, though, Coulson and the team are planning of how to stop Souza's death. Because now they figured out, okay, the device that we've all been tracking down, Souza is obviously trying to deliver, but he realizes he's been tipped off.
Right.
And they realize that Hydra knows him. And since they know that he knows who they are, if I just did not botch that up completely, that they realize, okay, to protect Hydra, they're going to have to kill Souza off.
Yep.
So they do a bait and switch, which was a great reveal.
Yeah.
That Coulson winds up dressing up as Souza and takes the bullet in the back.
It's like an uncanny impersonation.
Yes, definitely was. And as you see that Coulson goes and he gets shot in the back and he falls into the pool and he's underwater for so long, but then you see Souza winds up waking up from being unconscious because as they revealed later on, Coulson did knock him out.
Right.
And sneak him onto the Zephyr. So thus when Coulson comes back and gets rewired, he explains everything that happened. So it's now, oh yeah, by the way, you're supposed to be dead. But you're not. It's cool. This is what happens. This is S.H.I.E.L.D.
And it's almost one of those things that's like, okay, did they change history? Did they not? It's almost like, the third Harry Potter book where, they're going along, and you see it from one perspective. And then when the story goes on, they travel back in time 3 hours, and then you see the same stuff again with, some added detail. And it's like, all right, wait. Did that stuff that happened the first time around happen the first time, or did they change it? It's one of those weird things.
It's one of those weird things that they're going to have to really be delicate when they do their storytelling with.
Yeah.
Because anything, like we said, and we can't stress this enough, because once you deal with time travel, it's a very messy situation if you're not completely on point with your details.
And they're going to have to be real careful, too, if they go forward in time, because I imagine they're not going to stray away from S.H.I.E.L.D. And their goings-on in time, since the Chronicons are so obsessed with him.
Yeah.
If they've decided to take Souza out in the field and have him help them out, somebody's going to recognize him and go, wait a minute, you're supposed to be dead.
Yeah, it's one of those weird scenarios that they're going to have to really be careful with, because now, as we see for next week's episode, they're jumping into the 70s. And what they don't realize is the Chronicons didn't exactly leave 1955 as they thought. And they wind up working with Malik, or setting up an alliance.
A partnership.
A partnership, because once they realize that, okay, something happened with Souza, Howard Stark's device got to him.
Yeah.
Then they realize, okay, our plan has been thwarted, and we're going to be exposed. So now this is where we really are going to see Hydra grow, which is kind of a weird thing to see, and just how the slow burn is going to be about this.
Yeah.
Because we really don't know a lot that's going to be happening in the 70s.
Right.
We don't. Just they're going to be having a really fun adventure, and I don't get the vibe that this is going to be a throwaway episode. I don't know what's going to happen. But
I don't think they're going to have any throwaway episodes just because you look at it, it's not as many episodes as they've done in the past. There's no room for filler throwaway episodes.
No, they really can't, and that's the one telling thing that they're going to have to be on point with, because for their last season...
Right, that's the other thing, too. It's last season.
Yeah, you can't have those filler episodes that are just throwaways. If you do, it almost defeats the purpose. What I mean by this is... They don't have the Supernatural luxury,
right?
Where it's 22 episodes,
right?
So if Supernatural does have a throwaway episode that they just want to have a fun time with,
so you got 22 episodes, you got room to play with.
Exactly. Shield doesn't. Shield has 13, I believe, is the count.
Yes, 13.
So they can't really have those forgettable episodes that are not going to impact the story. They have to make every episode matter, and that's going to be the real question if they can pull this off. And that's why I say for the trailer that we saw. We didn't see a lot for this week that it's going to be on the next episode.
Right.
We just saw it's going to be in the 70s, and they did show a couple cool action scenes in here and there. But overall, it's like, where are they ultimately going with this story? Because now they're progressing so far in time, and it's almost like they're decade jumping each episode now. Granted, they took a big jump from 1955 to the 70s.
Yeah.
But as they're progressing forward, this is where the story is really going to have to be careful of how they're telling it, because now with Sousa on board, and you imagine he's not going to exactly stay on the Zephyr because that would just be too easy for a story, and then it makes for boring television. He's going to get out there and somebody's going to figure him out. Now, who is that character going to be? I don't know.
Well, we'll see.
But they're going to have to kind of really walk a fine line with that, and I can't stress that enough. Like, I really did love this episode. I loved the black and white noir take on it. I thought it was something just played right into it, because it just had that real unique Pulp Fiction type vibe to it.
Yeah.
Not the Quentin Tarantino movie, but just like the old storytelling like you would see on like Sin City. It just had that vibe to it, which I like seeing the difference, every now and then. Like, but I don't want to see it all the time. Like, that's the one takeaway. Like, I liked what I saw, but I don't want them to really try doing that for a complete run. Like, it's a nice, fun one and done.
Yeah.
But establish the time period. It really established the time frame that they want to really depict in the story, because essentially that's what it was. It was just one of those old pulp crime novels, and this was a really cool take on it. And I really am enjoying how Coulson is running this season for being in an LMD. He's been one of the bright spots of this season, and Clark Gregg, I know, is you can just tell when he's on screen, he's just enjoying his time on there. The other characters, we're just kind of really waiting to see where they're going to take off with. I think the development of May having powers, that's not going to be a throwaway moment in the show.
No.
But just where is that going to come? And I don't think that they're going to jump the gun and say she's a mutant.
No.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think the first time we're going to hear that Marvel-wise, now in the MCU era, is going to be Eternals.
Fully
banking on that.
Safe bet on that.
Yeah, fully banking on that. But overall, though, this episode, it was a great episode. It was very fun, had a lot going on with it. And where they're going to go for next week is anybody's guess. But definitely let us know. Hit us up on that hashtag ODPH. What was your thoughts about this past week's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? We want to know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, this is RJ, Ash,
Ray,
Brandon,
Harrison,
and Bronson. We host a Dungeons & Dragons podcast called Realms and Nerds. Some highlights of our show include wreaking havoc in every town we visit, blowing up hot tubs,
killing off fan-favorite characters,
high necromancers,
inappropriate wedding etiquette,
and every now and then, actually good storytelling.
Join us in the realms of Pridea for fun fantasy adventures. You can find us on Podbean, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or just about wherever you get podcasts.
This is Rich, the host of the Three Fat Nerds podcast and co-host of the Horror Zone 607 podcast, and you are listening to our hashtag 607 podcast brothers, the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. Now kick it back over to Ken Moneybags and the crew.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and I have to talk about my favorite show on TV right now, and that is Stargirl.
Ooh.
The DC Universe's / CW's surprise hit, because it has been a surprise of how good the show has been. It rolls on with another great episode. I'm going to break it down. I am talking spoilers. You know the drill. If you haven't seen the episode, pause this podcast, watch the episode, jump back in at this stage, because we are going to deep dive into the Justice Society episode in 3, 2, 1. So what did I think? I thought it was a great episode. And Pat, I know you have not caught up on this show yet.
No.
But I think you would definitely appreciate this show, because the one thing that they have done thus far, and this is now episode 6, is they have introduced new characters, and they have explained them enough that you don't need the full backstory.
Okay.
But enough that you know who they are, you kind of get their motivation, and you have enough to jump in. And this one, we were introduced to a few new villains from the Injustice Society, Sportsmaster, and Tigress. Now, Sportsmaster, if you're not familiar with, is basically an evil Casey Jones.
Oh, okay.
From Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fame. That's the easiest way to describe him. Tigress, if you watched Young Justice on the DC or the animated series,
yeah,
because it's on the DC universe too, you have an idea who the character is.
Sure,
because that does play off it a little bit. But on this series, though, they are married and they have a daughter, Artemis, who opens the show, and she winds up. She's playing actually varsity football.
Okay,
and she gets a sucker punch hit from behind. So as soon as she gets up, she decks the guy that hits her from behind. The coach pulls her from the game and sits her. And you can see the parents are very angry that, well, you just sat our daughter, and she did absolutely nothing wrong. She defended herself.
Sure.
So in typical supervillain actions, they wind up confronting the coach in their gear and wind up killing him.
Well, that figures.
Yes. So once this happens, this is kind of how the episode really takes off. And we kind of get the back and forth of, okay, these new characters are introduced to the JSA universe. We know they're major threats because obviously this is how they came to the fold. And we also get a follow-up from last week's cliffhanger of when Stripesy, a.k.a. Pat Dugan, a.k.a. Luke Wilson, the star of this show because he is just killing it on this role, finds the JSA gear that Courtney took, a.k.a. Brett Bassinger, a.k.a. Stargirl. We see that they have it in her room, and he is saying, you realize that you took a Green Lantern power battery. This could kill you. Take this back, and where's the other gear?
Yeah.
And Courtney reluctantly says, well, I gave it to some of my friends.
Oh, boy.
So now can you imagine your reaction if your stepdaughter decided to give the powers of superheroes to random friends of hers?
I'd be a little PO'd, to say the least.
Yeah, he was a little fired up because obviously he was able to track down that Rex Tyler was responsible for punching the side of the car that happened last episode. Rick Tyler, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So he obviously knows, okay, Rex Tyler's son now has the Hourman glass, so that'll be easy to track down. But Courtney, you need to go get everybody else's gear back because he knows that these kids are not ready to be superheroes. They could get killed because there's real life consequences. He saw them firsthand when the Injustice Society killed the JSA for the most part. So he knows what is going on. So at this stage, Courtney does try going to each of the team members to get the gear back. But you can obviously see this does not go over well.
Right.
Obviously, Wildcat is not ready to give up her mantle. She's now having a resurgence, of just coming out of the dark period that she was in. You see Dr. Midnight is fully embracing her role.
Right.
And it's just really cool to see how Yvette Monreal and Angelica Washington are playing these characters because you're just seeing, like in Dr. Midnight's case, Angelica Washington is completely being the socially awkward member of the team, but is like hamming it up and just really embracing the role of like talking back and forth with the AI of the goggles. And it's a really cool back and forth. And now you're seeing Monreal going through the history of Ted Knight, the original Wildcat, and seeing the history, and that's getting her more motivated to be a hero. because at the same time, you do see this little confrontation between Stripesy and Rick Tyler about the hourglass. And he's saying it's too much power for one person to have. That's why your dad made it just last an hour.
Right.
He knows it can be addicting. And he's saying, you don't know anything about me. I'm fine. I'm not giving it back. So once that Courtney tries having this quote-unquote team meeting, she gets basically peer pressured into saying, no, we're going to be a team, and we can go definitely dig into whatever the Injustice Society is doing. Because this can't go wrong. No.
Teen drama, nothing goes wrong.
Nothing goes wrong. So what do they decide to do? They decide to go after the Gambler, a.k.a. Stephen Sharp, who is trying to hack into a satellite system at this communications place. Because hacking into a satellite can only lead to good things, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, of course.
Yes. And due to this, they also wind up getting the attention of Sportsmaster and Tigress.
Right.
Who decide to go check in on the Gambler. Because there was this little scene earlier in the beginning of the show that I'm not really sure, just watching outside looking in here, that the Gambler is on the same page as Sportsmaster and Tigress.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of went maybe to stop him, but once they got into the building and you finally see the team is suited up for the first time and everybody's in their costumes, you see how they're working together, and obviously this is what you're going to get with rookies on their first mission.
Of course.
A lot of miscues, a lot of like, our man wanted to punch through a door, but Dr. Midnight said, no, let me take care of it. I can hack into the codes.
It's going to be like watching a rookie in the NBA go up against LeBron James. Little one-sided.
Oh, it was very one-sided. So once they start going in there and they're trying to disrupt the Gambler, they get intercepted, and there is a very cool fight action sequences that go on, which I have to fully applaud the choreography team of Stargirl for this, because they were some really good fight scenes.
Yeah.
Because at one point you had Tigress taking on Wildcat, and that was going back and forth, and then you had Sportsmaster taking on Our Man, and that was a very great back and forth too. And then you had Stargirl jump in, and like I say, the special effects for this really were coming into play too, because everything just looked like it was straight out of a comic book, which is what you want to see. It's a comic show. So I had no issue with this, and thus you see just how completely inexperienced they are, and we're just lucky to walk away from it. But they also did get some help from the one and only Stripe, who was there in the full armor and basically walked in, and you had that full superhero team shot like after about 10-15 minutes, which, like I say, I can't recommend the show enough to watch this episode for the fight scenes, because they did do a good job pacing too.
Right.
It was back and forth, and then you had when Stargirl came out and confronted Sportsmaster and Tigress, and you see how he was using the baseballs to go hit Stargirl or Our Man, and wound up actually at one point using like an explosive puck to go on the cosmic rod of Stargirl to make it explode. Didn't happen, but Stargirl knew she was in trouble. So as they're getting completely demolished, Stripe makes the save and then gets everybody away, because Sportsmaster and Tigress take off because they're like, what is this? A suit of armor, and it's the Iron Giant that shows up.
Yeah.
So they do wind up escaping. The Gambler does get the codes, though, which was really interesting to see, because he's obviously following Icicle's plan, which Icicle had a little moment with his son, too, because it was the anniversary, or their Icicle's wife's death.
Okay.
Or her birthday. So they were celebrating her birthday at a diner. It was a very quiet moment.
Sure.
And you see that they're, just out remembering her. That was the only real interaction we saw with Icicle until the very end of the show. But there was a lot of stuff that was going on, too, with him as well, which I'm going to jump into a little bit. But once the team gets back to Pat's garage, and he is having this heart-to-heart with Courtney, and they do have this back and forth, that he's like, it was really crazy, right? And she's like, yeah, it was crazy. They wouldn't listen to me. He's like, really? They wouldn't listen to you? She's like, yeah, everything I told them, they just ignored. You don't say. And she's like, yeah, and they're going to completely experience, right? They have no idea what they're doing, right? No, none at all. I see what you're doing. So it was a very cool back and forth, and he goes, well, are you going to get the items off them? And she goes, how can I? And he goes, well, I guess we're going to have to train our team. And at that moment, she realizes, okay, we're going to actually do this. So everybody's on point. And he's saying, okay, if we're going to make this a JSA, we need to make this a JSA. So now that's where it's going to go lead in for next week's episode. At the same time, though, you did have, like I said, Icicle did meet up with the rest of the in Justice Society, too. And Icicle's son is developing powers of his own right, too. So there was like a little quick throw to that. Nothing really too substantial, but I know they're going to dive into it next week's episode.
Yeah.
But basically, the only tidbit of information that we got is Icicle's master plan, whatever this is going to be, is hinging on Brainwave, who's still in the hospital in the coma. He does have the Gambler working with him. He does have Sportsmaster. He does have Tigress. And he does have the principal of the school, who took over the role of the violinist.
Yeah.
The show, because her husband was the original one from the team. So he does have his pawns in play, but whatever his ultimate game of chess is going to be, we don't know. So this is where the episode is really picking up steam. Overall, though, I will say it was another fun episode.
Right.
And I can't stress enough about how Luke Wilson is being the ultimate dad here to Brett Passenger's Courtney Whitmore.
Right.
And just the back and forth they have is they have great timing and chemistry of just doing that father-son or father-daughter relationship. And the rest of the team is really coming into their own roles too. I mean, you definitely see the confidence building in Wildcat. You definitely see that the socially awkwardness of Dr. Midnight is now being accepted by the team, and they're kind of accepting her as a person. Of just somebody that they looked upon as just being this really weird person.
Yeah,
is now okay. You're running with this. You're learning how to use your powers. Great, and you're seeing that Rick Tyler is being the standoff character is now embracing the idea of having a team. Slowly but surely, they're all coming together.
Right.
Like I said, the only thing that there was that little tidbit of information that I know I've been talking with some people online about is Barbara had a bonding moment with Pat's son Mike, who was at a science fair and nobody showed up, but she made a point to show up and see him do this exploding volcano. There is a rumor that is going around our social media, and I definitely want to get some more feedback from the ODPH Society, that Mike is going to be a member of the team and who he's going to be. So I think this might be an initial starting point of something going on there. Because he obviously has not had a lot of screen time lately, but I think that now they're trying to establish something. It could be something down the road, and I definitely want to get some opinions from everybody on the ODPH Society of who he could be on the JSA. But overall, I can't stress enough of how good the show has been. It definitely has that modern retro feel to it. They didn't make it too high school drama-ish with the characters. They have their moments in school, which, I mean, they should.
Right.
They're involved.
I'll say they're grown up.
They're right. But you're also getting the slow build-up of whatever Icicle's plan is going to be. And you're also seeing the villains are not exactly all on the same page, at least the vibe I'm getting, which I like because everybody's in it for their own angles. You never see everybody that's just teaming up together as supervillains. Everybody's got an ulterior motive, and you definitely saw that with Sportsmaster, Tigress, and the Gambler. So where they're going to go from here, I'm not sure. But if the ultimate plan is get Brainwave back, and then they're saying, well, if there was a new Justice Society, we can't do this, and Icicle says, well, let's figure out who they are.
Right.
And that's where they end for next season, or next week. So it's been a fun ride thus far. I can't recommend it enough. It is going to be definitely worth watching. Like I said, the 6 episodes are out right now. I think you can stream them on CW. If not, obviously, if you're a member of the DC Universe streaming service, you can watch them. But you'll be obviously preoccupied with something else this week, which we'll get into in one-shots. But either way, definitely check the show out. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. The feedback we've been having online with listeners, too, everybody's saying the same thing. So definitely jump on board and check it out. But let me know what you think. Hit us up on that hashtag ODPH. What is your thoughts about this past week's episode of Stargirl? Definitely want to have that conversation. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Tyler from Second Suitor, and you're listening to the ODPH podcast. I want you to get it. I want you to understand. I'm doing the best I can, but not as good as I want to be. I just want to get it. I just want to comprehend that I have to make amends with the monster.
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. Pat, you got those one-shots?
I got a lot of them, again, because it's been another crazy week.
Break it down.
Obviously, with states reopening and theaters getting ready to reopen, and with, theaters getting ready to reopen, there's a little bit of a lull with movies because everything's been delayed. Fear not, Regal is hooking everybody up. Nothing from AMC quite yet. I'm sure they'll have something at some point, though. But Regal is bringing some movies back to the theater, and my God, they are AAA home runs out of the park. So, yeah, what are they bringing back, you might ask?
Yeah.
Well, yesterday on their Facebook page, they said, on July 10th, we are bringing back some of your favorites. Check back soon for more info. And the movies they announced are Black Panther,
Okay.
Bloodshot,
Yeah.
Rocky, the original,
Oh.
Unforgiven,
Okay.
The Empire Strikes Back,
Hell yeah.
Inside Out,
Okay.
Jurassic Park, the original,
Okay.
Batman Begins,
Ooh, okay.
The Dark Knight,
Yes.
The Dark Knight Rises.
Okay.
So that was the other day. As we record here today, they announced more movies.
Okay.
They said starting July 17th, enjoy these great bring-backs at Regal. Those films are Inception,
Yes.
Sonic the Hedgehog,
Okay.
Bohemian Rhapsody,
Okay.
Iron Man 1,
Okay.
the original Jaws,
Okay.
Interstellar,
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast, the live-action version
Live-action one.
with Emma Watson,
Okay.
Lord of the Rings, Return of the King,
Oh.
Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers,
Oh.
and Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. My God, that is home runs out of the park. Definitely going to have to see Empire Strikes Back on in the big screen since never got the chance to. Was born many years after it originally came out. Might see one of the Dark Knight ones. I mean, probably not Dark Knight Rises because I saw that maybe 5 times in theaters, and I'm like, I've seen it 5 times in theaters. That's probably enough. Might do Dark Knight though. Might do Dark Knight in theaters again.
Yeah, I definitely. Sign me up for Empire. I definitely want to go for that.
Yeah.
I'm not a Jurassic Park guy, so I don't.
I've seen Jurassic Park. I enjoy it, but it's like, not really chomping at the bit. No pun intended to see it on the big screen.
Yeah, not really dying to see that. Bloodshot is surprising.
Yeah,
that was probably the biggest. Like what?
Not necessarily because I think given the fact, remember. It was in theaters and had its run cut.
Yeah.
Same can be said for Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog, if I remember correctly, either was supposed to be in theaters or had just come out and got its run cut in theaters. That doesn't necessarily surprise me that they're putting it back.
Yeah.
But looking at the other ones, abso-freaking-lutely going to have to see all 3 Lord of the Rings on the big screen again. Got to see 2 and 3 on the big screen. Didn't get to see the first one on the big screen. Especially I got to see the third one because for me, third film when Rohan charges in is the best scene in film history. I realize a lot of people are going to say, what? No, it's Portals. The Portals scene in Endgame is very good. For me, it's a 1A, 1B scenario. But just for the reaction I get when I watch that scene, the Rohan charging still gives me goosebumps, 17 years later. So it just, I got to see it on the big screen again.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great options. I wouldn't even mind seeing Jaws.
Yeah, Jaws would be good.
Jaws and Rocky 1.
Interstellar, too, because Interstellar, it's a great movie if you have a decent setup at home. It's even better on the big screen.
See, I wasn't a huge fan of Interstellar. Like I said, I'm not hating on
it.
Yeah. I like Inception, I'm there for.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, Interstellar, I was like, we'll see.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But, man, Regal is coming with that.
Coming hard, and I'm sure they're probably going to have more, Lord knows.
Well, it's a smart move by them because to get moviegoers to come back to the theaters with everything going on.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously there's not a lot of new properties that are coming to the movies.
I'll say we're looking at least October before anything really comes out, other than Tenet, which is still supposed to be in July.
Right. So, I mean, after that, though, like, there really
It's a lull.
It's a lull, but if the fact they're offering you this much and just the experience of going and like I say, with everything going on in the world right now, I'm excited to go to it. So we'll have to wait and see.
Kind of bouncing off something you said earlier in the show about San Diego Comic-Con at home. Variety has an article up and a list. If you Google Variety San Diego Comic-Con, I'm sure you'll be able to find it. There are some panels announced that are going to be taking place virtually, obviously, July 23rd through the 26th. No dates or times or where you'll be able to watch this, and it's not everything. I'm sure that it's going to be there. At this point, it's only stuff from the folks at Disney and then AMC. Some of the panels that stick out that are going to be happening are for American Dad, Bob's Burgers, Family Guy, The Simpsons, Stumptown, The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, and Walking Dead World Beyond. Obviously, more panels and dates and times and such to come, seeing as we're still a month away from that thing.
Yeah, there's a lot that they're going to be adding to it. I know Marvel is going to come in there, too.
Oh, yeah.
They got I think in response to DC fandom,
probably
they're going to come with something big.
They might have had something planned and just like, it'll be a thing. Let's not go too crazy. DC announced their thing. They're like, all right, we got to go crazy.
I'm not doubting Eternals trailer, and I'm not doubting maybe one more big announcement, possibly. I'll even throw this out there. We might get a casting of the Fantastic Four. Maybe. Okay. It's going to be something we're not expecting. That's what I'm saying with that. There could be something in the works that we don't know. So stay tuned for that. I know that when San Diego Comic-Con does come about, we are going to be doing joint coverage with our friends over at 8122 Productions on twitch.tv/607podcast. We're going to be doing a nightly show, doing a recap of everything going on, and then, of course, we're going to be deep diving into it on the ODPH as well. So stay tuned for that. I'm excited for that. I mean, even if it's away from home, it's not going to be the actual con. San Diego is still San Diego. So there'll be big news going on that weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Huge.
Yep. Also, in some very out of left field news, it came out the other day that there's a new Crash Bandicoot game coming.
Yeah.
Properly titled Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. Because this appears to be a true sequel to the 1998's Crash Bandicoot Warped. It is coming to both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on October 2nd for $59.99. According to an article from The Verge, it picks up decades after the events of Warped, back when you defeated antagonist Neo Cortex and Dr. N. Tropy and Uka Uka and left them stranded on a distant planet. The sequel picks up with the trio escaping, resulting in a rip in the fabric of time and space. Saw the trailer, looks awesome. I had a feeling something like this was coming just because about, 6 months, a year ago, something like that. There was an article, there was some stuff online that Crash Bandicoot, the character, appeared in a commercial, but it wasn't for PlayStation. It was for something random. And people noticed it and went, wait a minute. Was that Crash Bandicoot? And they, watched the video again, and they're like, wait a minute. That looks like a new render of the character. That looks like a new version of the character. Are they planning on doing something? That's weird that they would do, a new version of the character just for a commercial. Are they doing something with it? And lo and behold, yes, they are.
I was never a big Crash Bandicoot person when it first came out, but I've grown to appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. I played it. I remember playing, because I didn't have a PlayStation 1 back in the day. But I remember going to like Toys R Us and Walmart and going to play the demos in the stores. Game was harder than hell.
Yeah, it grew on me.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like I said, so I'm excited to see what this comes out.
Yeah. Other video game news, we got some information about the Marvel's Avengers video game from Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix that came out. Kind of notably, it was announced that PlayStation 4 owners who purchase it will get a PlayStation 5 version of the game on day one of the console launch at no extra charge.
Oh, nice.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's huge.
It was also announced in a trailer today. It was revealed that who the main villain will be, and that is MODOK, of course, formerly known as George Tarleton. And explaining he's attempting to fix the damage blamed on the Avengers after the game's A-Day catastrophe and aiming to rid the Earth of superpowers altogether.
See, that's wild to me. I don't know why. I know that MODOK has this insane cult following.
Oh, yeah.
That even at one point he was going to be the villain of the New Warriors TV show. And I know that there was going to be the Hulu animated series when they were going to do the Offenders.
Right.
I think Patton Oswalt was tagged to that project.
Yes, I believe so.
So I know he's popular and all, but the main villain in the video game?
Yeah, no, it was kind of leaked and kind of speculated that he would be after an achievement list for the video game leaked, but this is his official unveiling. Also of note, the trailer does show us Abomination and a variety of AIM-created threats to have fun with the Hulk.
Yeah, I can imagine Abomination would be in there for the Hulk, and just with, like I say, MODOK. It's just wild he's the main villain. I can see him being a villain, but the main one is okay, there's got to be a catch to it.
Yeah.
There got to be a catch.
Yeah. Sticking with the video game stuff, rather shockingly, Mixer is will be no more a thing.
Yeah, break this down for me.
So, for those of you who aren't familiar, Mixer is Microsoft's version of Twitch. Twitch is a third-party site, which, you can, if you have the equipment or a PlayStation 4, you can stream video games onto. Mixer was the Microsoft version of it that, for a while, they never really put much effort into, up until recently, where they started signing folks to exclusive deals, including Tyler Ninja Blevins, of course, of Fortnite fame, and Drake, all 5K if you get this dub, fame. They signed him to an exclusive deal that I forget the exact numbers, but it was very substantial. So Mixer is no longer a thing. They're going to be shutting it down here in the near future. They are not retaining anyone to their exclusive contracts. So once the site is no more a thing, they're free agents. They can go wherever they want. According to reports, Tyler Ninja Blevins did have the folks at Mixer buy out his contract. and it was for a very substantial fee.
I can imagine.
Let's just put it this way. It was about $30 million, according to reports. So he's doing very well for himself.
Insane.
Yeah, so Mixer's no longer a thing, and it looks like they have a connection somehow with Facebook Gaming if they want to switch over to there, but I would imagine that they're going to just go back to Twitch. Mixer never really took off like they hoped it would, even with bringing on Ninja and a whole bunch of others, just because, the community just wasn't there. If you just looked at the numbers from when Ninja was at his height on Twitch and Ninja when he was going on Mixer, the numbers just weren't there.
Yeah, it's something that as we are now just getting introduced to the streaming aspect of content creating for the ODPH, it's always interesting to see of how this is all developing. And with Mixer, I never had a lot of listeners or interaction with fellow content creators that said about going there. Everybody has been talking about Twitch, and I mean, there's a lot of great podcasts are now doing stuff on Twitch. I mean, shout out to Epic Film Guys, shout out to Wonder Soul, Wednesday. I mean, I can keep going on and on, but there is just something about going to streaming that if it's not on Twitch, I don't know. The only ones that I knew used Mixer were Ninja because I heard the news, and then AJ Styles from the WWE. I follow him on Twitter, and usually after Monday Night Raw or some random times when wrestling's not on, he'll tweet out, "Hey, I'm streaming such and such on Mixer, come check it out." Yeah,
because he's an Xbox guy. He has an Xbox, but that outside of that, I never really messed with it. I don't really go to it. I watch, there's some people I watch on Twitch every now and then, but never dabbled with Mixer myself.
Yeah, no, I never did either. And like I said, I don't think I've ever clicked on it, to be honest with you. So
no,
it's just weird that they're absorbing that into Facebook, though.
Yeah,
I mean, I understand it is what it is.
Well, it'll be real interesting just because I remember when I'm reading reports that the day Ninja's deal with Mixer started, anyone who turned on an Xbox that day saw a thing about him being with Mixer and streaming.
Oh yeah, it was something that popped up on the main screen.
Yeah, which that was for that was a reach that Twitch couldn't get because I don't know how many people have an Xbox One, but it's a lot. So it's interesting if people go over to Facebook just because I see him just because of some of the pages I like and some of the stuff I view, that when I'm going down the rabbit hole of Facebook videos, at least one person who's live on a video game will pop up there. And I'll see, what are they playing? Okay, whatever, and I'll keep going. So I think most people will go back to Twitch. Some might try YouTube gaming, YouTube gaming. Streaming on there, not necessarily as big as Twitch. Twitch is the monster. Twitch is the one that has a lot of viewers and it gets the most traffic. So most people will probably go back to Twitch.
Yeah, and like I say, there's so many content creators that are going there that we are personally friends with.
Oh yeah.
That, like I say, now that we're starting to slowly dabble into that.
Yeah.
It's going to be something really interesting to watch how many other content creators come over from Mixer to that.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I also have to give another shout out, twitch.tv/607podcast and twitch.tv/OD Parlay Hour.
Also in video game news, Fortnite's got some more fun coming. Depending on your country, Fortnite will be showing one of 3 different Christopher Nolan films. Those films are Inception, Batman Begins, or The Prestige for movie night at Party Royale's big screen. It will begin on June 26th, and Fortnite will air these films at different times, again, depending on your country. For example, those in the United States will be able to watch Inception on June 26th at 5 a.m. Pacific Time, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, and then 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Time. The Prestige will air on June 26th at 5 p.m. British Standard Time. You can go to the epicgames.com website for a full list of, what the full schedule and what's going to air in your country. You will not be able to broadcast or record these films during their showings. I know that's a very popular thing to do. I know, Travis Scott had a quote-unquote concert on Fortnite where it was just him playing, 3 or 4 of his popular songs that everyone and their mother recorded and then reposted. But obviously because of copyright and such, you will not be able to record these or post these. And if you do post them, I'm willing to bet you'll get permanently banned from Fortnite.
Yeah.
So don't try it.
I could definitely see it happen, but just embrace it for what it is. I mean, those movies have been out for so long that you don't really need to re-show them via Fortnite.
No.
I'm sorry.
It's interesting. Fortnite always staying relevant.
No, Fortnite, I will say, I think has had a longer shelf life than I ever envisioned.
It's had a longer shelf life than any of the other Battle Royale games because it's not the first one.
No.
The first one was really, that really brought it into prominence was a mod for a game called DayZ, where it was essentially zombies running around and you had to both fight off the zombies and survive other players. Mm-hmm. And then it became PUBG or Player Unknown Battlegrounds, was the popular one, and then Fortnite came over and just, took the cake and ran.
Yeah.
But it's still staying relevant. It's cool to see.
Yeah, it's absolutely mind-blowing that it's still around.
Also, switching to some streaming stuff, and probably the thing everyone will be watching next week, including my sister. Hamilton is coming to Disney+. Everyone knows this. Huge news. Everyone knows this. It's been advertised on all the Disney platforms, ABC, ESPN, and whatnot. But we got some interesting information, and kudos to Lin-Manuel Miranda for this. A fan asked him on Twitter the other day, said, "Hey, so excited about Hamilton on Disney Plus, and oh my God, I finally get to see you as Alexander Hamilton. But it's rated PG-13. Does that mean that some iconic lines have been cut? Is it changed at all?" To which Lin-Manuel Miranda actually took the time and answered this person's question and said, quote, "Language. 1. On July 3rd, you're getting the whole show, every note and scene, and a 1-minute countdown clock during intermission. Bathroom break. 2. The MPAA has a hard rule about language. More than one utterance of fuck, and it is an automatic R rating. We have 3 fucks in our show. So, I literally gave 2 fucks so the kids could see it." Yes, that's right. So he had 3 fucks in the show, took 2 of them out so that it could keep its PG-13 rating and not go R, because then it wouldn't be able to be on Disney Plus.
Amazing.
So, and I guess according to Lin-Manuel Miranda, you can sync up the album to the movie and it'll work out perfectly. So that'll be definitely something to check out.
That is such a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Because, Hamilton, let's face it, has been one of the biggest hits on Broadway.
In a long time.
In a very long time.
Yeah.
And, one of the hottest tickets. If not the hottest ticket.
The hottest ticket. I don't really know all that much about Broadway. I've seen 2 Broadway musicals in my time, Wicked and then Aladdin. Recommend both of them. Mm-hmm. But from what I understand, tickets for that haven't been... It hasn't been this hard to get tickets for Hamilton when it was going, and obviously it was open, since the early days of Wicked. From what I understand, where Wicked was damn near impossible to get tickets for. Alexander, the Hamilton musical, even more so.
Yeah, so this is a really great thing to see on Disney Plus, and I love it that they got it on there.
And you know what? I haven't listened to the musical because the soundtrack, because I'm not a musical guy. I might check this out just to see what all the hype's about.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely check it out.
Yeah. And we have a Winds of Winter update from George R.R. Martin. Get your popcorn ready, folks.
Wow.
Yeah, in a blog post on his website today, he said, quote, "I have to confess, after a year of pandemic, quarantine, and social distancing, I am showing signs of cabin fever, half of which is quite literal in my case. Yes, I am in an actual cabin in the mountains. No, I have no fever. Yay. For the present, at least, I am healthy. For an out-of-shape guy of 71, at least, and doing all I can to stay that way. If nothing else, the enforced isolation has helped me right. I am spending long hours every day on the Winds of Winter and making steady progress. I finished a new chapter yesterday, another one 3 days ago, another one the previous week." Pause on the quote here. That's fast for him.
Yeah.
He's a notoriously slow writer, as evidence shows. The last book came out in 2011.
Yeah.
So, getting back to the quote here. "But no, this does not mean that the book will be finished tomorrow or published next week. It's going to be a huge book, and I still have a long way to go. Please do not give any credence to any of the clickbait websites that like to parse every word of my posts." So, if you see any clickbait articles saying, "Oh, he's done with Winds of Winter," no, not quite done. The thing that scares me is he says the book is going to be long, and it's going to be a huge book. If I remember right, I don't remember which book. One of them is at least 1,300 pages.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a long...
The show ended.
Yeah, it's a long book, so... Sounds like he's getting close. He's hoping to have it done by next year, which at this point, I won't believe it until I go into Barnes & Noble to buy it, and it's there on a shelf, which this one I might have to pre-order, just given the popularity of the property and how long people have been waiting. I might actually have to pre-order a book, which I've never had to do. But sounds like he's getting close.
I want to see him change the ending. I so just want him to do it.
I would imagine he will.
This needs to happen. Just to completely throw everybody off their game. Mm-hmm. I'd be, like I say, I have no intention on picking up the book because I've never read them, actually.
Sure.
I just watched the show.
I've read all the books that are out. It took me legitimately 2 years. Wow. That's not a joke. They are long, and he gets very detailed and very descriptive. Like, I remember, because when I'm reading a new book, I just like to go, all right, especially if I'm reading before bed, all right, can I do this next chapter before I go to bed? And there'd be some chapter, it's 45, 50 pages to the next chapter. You're like, oh, guess I'm not doing that next chapter.
Yeah, definitely not. So, Pat, I guess I will close this episode out with talking about one of my favorite shows is returning.
Oh.
And I have been so freaking excited for this. Doom Patrol is back, baby.
Oh, boy.
Yes. The Misfits of the DC Universe are back. Season 1 was phenomenal and arguably the best show. Well, there's no question it was the best show on the DC Universe.
I was like, didn't they put the season 1 out for free on like YouTube or something?
Yes. See, the quick backstory about this is last February, Valentine's Day weekend, we had a complete comic book showdown. Doom Patrol on the DC Universe, Netflix had the Umbrella Academy.
That's right.
And it was back and forth. And I remember on this show, I was telling people, I said, you got to give the show a chance. Because they had the one episode on DC Universe's Titans that was arguably their best episode. I'm not going to lie. So we finally get the tale of the chief, Professor Niles Calder, and his misfit toys, and how weird can we get? And did it live up to the hype? Oh my God, yes, it did. Where else do you have the one and only Brendan Fraser as Cliff Steele, a.k.a. Robot Man, who was just dropping F-bombs all over the place? Mm-hmm. And you had breakout roles from Matthew Baumer, who played Larry Trainer, a.k.a. Negative Man, and Diana Guerrero, who played Crazy Jane on the show. Like I said, the casting for this was phenomenal. Like I said, Timothy Dalton was the chief, or Professor Niles Calder, depending on what you want to call him. Mm-hmm. You also had Jovian Wade, who played Vic Stone, a.k.a. Cyborg, which was the biggest question mark about this series, because let's face it, he has always been synonymous with the Titans.
Right.
So we didn't really know how this character was going to gel, and it was perfect. We also had April Bowlby playing Elastigirl, and you had Alan Tudyk playing Mr. Nobody. The casting for this, like I said, was so spot on, and what they brought to this show is they gave the heart that you wanted to get invested with these characters and see how absolutely messed up they are and how weird things got, but still we're a superhero team at the end. Like I say, to try making an easy comparison, if you're still not familiar with who they are, they're basically misfit X-Men.
Okay.
That's the easiest way to describe them. Dysfunctional is to put it mildly, but as you went through the course of the season with Mr. Nobody taking out his personal grudge against the chief, and you find out just about what the chief ultimate goal was with the team, and like I say, I don't want to spoil it because I know people are watching it right now, and as you touched upon, they did air the first 3 episodes of season 1 on YouTube this week. They're still up, as you'll hear, going into Thursday when season 2 debuts on HBO Max and DC Universe.
See, I was confused when I saw that news because I thought it was like the whole season and it was only up there for a week. And I'm like, wait, I'm really confused. They're putting it up there for the whole, because when I thought it was the whole season, I'm like, the whole season, but it's only up there for a week. But Ken said, don't watch it in quick succession like that. That's going to really screw with people.
It will mess you up. Like the beauty of Doom Patrol is it's quirky, it's bizarre, it's very not safe for work for a good portion of the show. But it's amazingly detailed and written about how fractured these characters are, but yet they rise to the occasion of being a superhero. Because for the DC relationship with the Doom Patrol, it's been very back and forth. Like, are they a superhero team? Are they on the fringe? I know they had ties when the Vertigo line came out. They were one of the properties that went over there.
Right.
And obviously it suited them a lot better, because if you ever known the Doom Patrol and read the comics, there's really a couple writers that stand out for their work with it. Grant Morrison, and did he ever go some places with it?
I can imagine.
And his influence was definitely felt in season 1, and after seeing the trailer for season 2, oh my God, it's all over this.
Oh boy.
And Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance.
Right.
His influence is on this as well, too. And like I say, you get a lot of weirdness, but you get a lot of heart with the characters. And where they're picking up, they are going to be borrowing a lot more from Grant Morrison's run. A lot more, which was kind of frightening about the characters they're going to be involving. That if I can draw a couple quick spoilers, they are going to be dealing with characters such as Red Jack and the Candlemaker, and in dealing with the Chief's daughter, Dorothy. And that storyline, like I say, it's gonna, like I say, there's a couple different storylines they're gonna do. I'm not sure who's the major antagonist that is gonna be involved, but it's definitely going to be a lot of craziness. It's going to be absolutely a wild trip, and for a show to get pushed as hard as this is getting pushed, I think is just a testament of how good it is. That this show definitely flew under the radar, because when it was originally announced, Pat, I'll just ask you as a casual comic fan, did you have any interest in this?
No, never heard of them outside of Cyborg.
Right.
Never heard of them, never knew about it, so no, can't say I did.
Right. So to see the push of this is going to be just absolutely wild to see where they run with this.
Yeah.
And to see that they got the season 2 and they're really diving into the Grant Morrison run. And like I said, there's going to be a lot of weird stuff going on.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
But the payoffs are always good. Like, this is one of the storylines with Grant Morrison, and I don't want to say I'm critical of him a bit, but I'm always very critical of like how he ends stories. I thought for the majority that I've read from the Doom Patrol stuff that he's going to be, I think, covering on this season, that they're going to be borrowing from, he did close those stories better than he has done some other properties. Like I say, his Batman run, I thought ended very weak. I'm not a fan of it. His X-Men run, I thought faltered, but there's a lot of stories that are tied in with that that I'll leave there.
Yeah.
But Doom Patrol has always been something synonymous with him, and it fits his writing to a T, because like I say, it's quirky, it's different, it's definitely not your typical superhero stuff by any means.
Yeah.
It's very NSFW.
Oh yeah, that's what I've heard.
It's very, but it works though. And like I say, it wouldn't work without the casting, and I can't preach about how good the casting has been enough, and with everybody that's been involved with the show. Like I say, Diana Guerrero, I'm surprised has not been nominated for an Emmy.
Right.
Because for dealing with Crazy Jane, which, I mean, this isn't a spoiler, she has 64 different personalities that all have different powers, and she portrays them all differently. So you can't even tell really when she like you can tell when she switches. Right. It's not something that is just like a casual change.
Right.
And like I say, how she acts throughout this, like she's the true star of the show. Brendan Fraser is just amazing as Robot Man, because it's just basically how crazy can he just get being the guy that is just like, what am I doing here? And for the cyborg element too, is he's the only traditional superhero.
Yeah.
And he is so completely out of his element that he's like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
And like I say, it's a perfect balance off. And even like I say, Matt Bomer's portrayal of Larry Trainor, aka Negative Man, is fantastic. There is so much good about this show. I cannot stress enough. The only thing this Pat touched upon, though, you can't really marathon this like in a binge watch, because it will completely blow your mind. I have talked with everybody from our good friend Just Incredible Cosplay. I've talked with a few other listeners, and Julian from Shot at the Robots, and we all in the same page. You need to take this in doses. You cannot binge this show, because your head will explode. It truly will. But it is so damn good. And like I say, it is on YouTube right now for the first 3 episodes. The paywall is down. But what I would recommend doing is, if you sign up for HBO Max, I believe it's still a free trial.
Something like that, yeah.
Like for the first 7 days. Jump on that and watch. And then you can just hammer through the show at your own risk. But I will say that, because if HBO Max is still doing their free previews,
I think so.
Yeah, then I would recommend doing that, and then you'll be able to watch a little more. Albeit, though, there was some incentive if you did watch all 3.
Yeah, there was something that would happen, but they didn't say what.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit I didn't, since I've already seen them, and I do watch in the DC universe.
Right.
So there was some little thing that there was going to be like an Easter egg, I think, And like I say, it's 7 days free on HBO Max. So I would say jump on that, and you can watch, unless they're not showing season 1 on there yet, but I believe they are. Season 2 is debuting on the 25th.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I've heard thus far from different sites, non-spoiler, it doesn't miss a beat from last season. It picks up right where it left off. You get everything zany, crazy, wild. That is Doom Patrol. It is one of the best shows on TV. Not even just the best superhero show. It is one of the best shows. I can't recommend it highly enough. And if you haven't seen it, I'm telling you right now, sign up for HBO Max. Sign up for the DC Universe. You won't be disappointed if you like your hero stories a little different than normal. Because, like I say, for creative reasons alone, Doom Patrol hits all marks. And you're not going to see really anything like that on TV for a while. Enough said.
Yeah, just real quick, one I almost forgot. We have an update on the HBO Max DC films from a couple weeks ago. If you might remember, a couple weeks ago, it was revealed that some DC films notable ones would be leaving the HBO Max service on July 1st. Most notably of those was Batman v Superman, Justice League, Wonder Woman, and Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. All of those films will not be leaving on July 1st. And will be staying on the service until December. And joining them this coming month, like to give myself a little pat in the back here. Called it! Superman 1, Superman 2, Superman 3, and Superman 4, a.k.a. the Christopher Reeve films, will be added to HBO Max. Also, Watchmen will join them on the service. So, a little bit of an update due to the very loud public cry of, what are you doing? Batman v Superman, Justice League, and Wonder Woman, also Suicide Squad, will not be leaving HBO Max on July 1st. They will be staying through until December.
Right on. Definitely excited for that. The more content you can get on HBO Max for the comics is all there. And like I say, I can't stress Doom Patrol enough, so definitely sign up for that alone. Enough said there. Quick shout out to the comic shops. Batman 93 is in stores this week. The Joker War is about to take off.
Oh, boy.
So I know Tinian's run is definitely getting a lot of steam going to it. So I'm highly recommending that. And if you want to hear some more comics takes, definitely check out some other podcasts or head on over to your independent comics shops. We definitely shout out our new comic books list that comes out every week from Justin and Songaround. And definitely, if we're talking comic podcasts, shout out to Brian Wayne at Cheers to Comics. He's definitely got the Wednesday Pull List ready to rock. And shout out to the Wednesday Pull List podcast, too, as well. That being said, the music you heard on this week's edition of the entertainment show for the ODPH is that of Shout at the Robots. They're great friends of ours. They're definitely watching Doom Patrol. I already know that. We're going to try getting Julian in the studio to give a little recap when the season's all said and done. But the song we're going to be ending the show with this week is going to be from Second Suitor. Where do you find out about everything going on with the bands that you hear on the ODPH? Simple. OchoDuroParlayHour.com and the music section. So definitely head on over there. Check them out. And check out Floodlands, who is sending over the autographed poster pad.
Ooh.
It is on our Instagram page right now, so shout out to the guys from Floodlands. Amazing guys. You should definitely check out Sia Sarin, too. Highly recommend that album. You can find out all about them on the music section as well, and Tom Jolu, and Yard Party, and the list goes on and on. Fair City Fire. So many great musicians on that page. Definitely go check out and support all of them. And on OchoDuroParlayHour.com, you can head over to the directory where you can check out friends of the show, such as Tom from Off the Cuff Gaming, who is doing his contest this week, Pat.
Wow.
So definitely head on over to his Facebook page the minute you get done with this episode and see what he's doing, and definitely throw your vote in because he's got a lot of stuff going on there, as well as the Final Fantasy VII remake that he's doing, playing through on YouTube. And you can also check out Excite Wrestling on there. Our friends over at 8122 Productions. Shout out to Rich Ron and hashtag Big Natty Cool. Still on Twitter, Pad.
Oh, boy.
Still running wild, even behind a paywall. So if you definitely want to check out everything that's going on with the Three Fat Nerds Podcast Network, sign up for patreon.com/8122 Productions. $1 gets you in the door. $3 gets you a comfy seat at the table. And shout out to all the amazing pod groups that we are in. Shout out to Alternative Reality Radio. Shout out to Legion Independent Podcast. Shout out to Pod Nation. Shout out to the Apocalypse community. And, of course, shout out to hashtag 607 Podcast. And there are links to Black Lives Matters organization links and voter registration on there as well. So much stuff going on in the directory these days, Pat.
Mm-hmm.
It's growing every single day. And you can also check out Parlay Points, the complimentary blog section to the ODPH. Everything that is the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour can be found on OchoDuroParlayHour.com. That's all I got for this week. So for the one and only Padawan J.
Thank you.
I'm your host, Ken. Thank you, as always, for listening to the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. See you next time.
You won't be a hole with a hole in your heart, clinging to something that tears you apart. Your body won't heal, you can't fix your mind. The longer you wait, the longer you're wasting time. And you won't get better. You thought you stole the sun, now you're stuck in shitty weather. And I've made peace with that. Before my lungs collapse, I'll take a breath and show you what I can be. For the love of the art, today never comes, but now I'm alive. Life is allowed. Together we'll burn out bright, and you won't get better. You thought you stole the sun, now you're stuck in shitty weather. And I've made peace with that. Before my lungs collapse, I'll take a breath and show you